Welcome to Coinfluence, the channel that transforms the convoluted world of finance into digestible bite-sized pieces. We're your reliable guide through the intricate labyrinth of economic systems and monetary phenomena. As we embark on this journey today, we're going to explore a grand chasm that stretches across our society, a divide that has been widening for centuries. It's invisible, intangible, yet very real: the wealth gap. But before we delve into the complexities of this issue, allow us to serve you a metaphorical pie. Picture a delicious pie with its flaky crust and sweet filling. Each one of us is entitled to a slice of this pie, a slice that represents our share of society's wealth. Imagine if the size of your slice was determined by your contribution to the creation of this wealth. Sounds fair, right? But what if we told you that it's not always the case? Stay tuned as we slice through the layers of this pie, revealing the bitter truth of wealth distribution in our society. Remember, at Coinfluence, we believe in the power of understanding to shape a fairer, more equitable world. So let's dive in. A grand chasm stretches across our society, a divide that has been widening for centuries. It's not a physical divide, but it's just as real and tangible as any visible barrier. This divide is the wealth gap, a concept many of us are quite familiar with, though we may not fully understand its intricacies or its implications. The term wealth gap denotes a significant disparity in the distribution of wealth within a population or even between different populations worldwide. To make this clearer, let's consider a simple analogy. Imagine a delicious pie with its flaky crust and sweet filling. This pie represents all the wealth in a society. Each individual in society is entitled to a slice of this pie. Now, the wealth gap, in essence, is actually the contrast between the size of the slice that the wealthiest individuals receive and the slice that an average citizen is able to acquire. In a society where fairness and equality are the pillars of its foundation, everyone would get a piece of the pie that accurately mirrors their contribution to the creation of that wealth. But unfortunately, our society is far from this idealistic vision. In actuality, the distribution is skewed, and a small group of individuals, often referred to as the elite or the 1%, end up with a disproportionately large portion of the pie, leaving everyone else to scrap for the remaining share. This is a pressing issue that permeates all aspects of our lives, affecting our opportunities for education, employment, and even our health. It's an issue that needs addressing if we want to create a fairer, more equitable society. But in reality, a small group of people often end up with the lion's share. Now, what factors contribute to the widening of this gap? Let's delve into this. One of the principal aspects is education, or rather its absence, which plays a monumental role. A higher level of education, especially in a field that's in high demand, frequently ushers individuals into the realm of better-paying jobs. This creates a distinct divide, a chasm, if you will, between those fortunate enough to have access to quality education and those who are left grappling with inadequate or no educational opportunities. In contrast, those without access to quality education often find themselves locked out of well-paying jobs, leading to a perpetuation of the cycle of poverty. In this way, the absence of education compounds upon itself, creating a widening gap that seems almost impossible to bridge. Employment opportunities, or the lack thereof, also significantly contribute to the wealth gap. The availability of jobs, the disparity of wages, and the presence of unseen yet unmissable glass ceilings all work together to keep this gap wide and deep. For instance, the job market's volatility and widespread wage disparity, especially in societies that don't mandate a living wage, lead to a significant portion of the population being left behind economically. Systemic racism and discrimination also play an overarching role, a significant one that we must acknowledge. It's a harsh truth that biases and prejudiced attitudes based on race, gender, age, religion, and other such factors can limit opportunities, stifle potential, and lead to income disparities. These prejudices, often deeply rooted and institutionalized, can perpetuate income and wealth gaps across generations. Moreover, let's not forget the unequal access to crucial resources such as quality healthcare, affordable housing, and even nutritious food. The absence of these basic necessities, coupled with the inability to access them due to financial constraints, can keep people in a perpetual cycle of poverty that's not just challenging, but often seemingly impossible to break free from. But this isn't just about individuals. It's a broader, more complex issue at hand. The wealth gap is a chasm that divides not just people, but entire communities, economies, and societies. It's a stark divide, often ignored or overlooked, but its effects ripple far beyond the individual level. It's within this wealth gap where communities suffer. When a community is built on a foundation of economic disparity, it creates an unstable environment. Resources become limited, public services are strained, and the overall well-being of the community inevitably suffers. Education systems fail to provide equal opportunities, healthcare becomes a luxury, and basic amenities like clean water and electricity become increasingly hard to access. Such communities are left to grapple with these issues, creating a cycle of poverty that seems impossible to escape. Beyond these communities, economic growth as a whole is stifled. Economies thrive on circulation and exchange. When wealth is hoarded by a select few, it disrupts this crucial cycle. Investments decrease, innovation is hindered, and job opportunities become scarce. As a result, nations struggle to achieve sustainable economic growth. It's a vicious cycle that feeds into the wealth gap, exacerbating the issue and creating a downward spiral that affects everyone. The wealth gap also undermines social mobility. When the deck is stacked against you from the start, it's difficult to break free from the cycle of poverty. Opportunities for advancement become limited, and for many, the dream of upward mobility becomes just that, a dream. The wealth gap cements societal hierarchies, making it near impossible for individuals at the bottom to climb upwards, no matter how hard they work. In these ways and more, the wealth gap goes beyond the individual, casting a long shadow over societies and economies. The impacts are far-reaching and often devastating, leaving no aspect of society untouched. The wealth gap is not just an individual problem, it's a societal problem, and its consequences are profound and permeating, and so social mobility becomes a distant dream for many. However, all hope is not lost. In our modern world, constantly teetering between progress and disparity, we find ourselves facing the seemingly insurmountable challenge of income disparity. Yet the solutions are not as elusive as one might think. The first significant aspect that needs to be addressed is education and training programs. It's about investing wisely. By providing people with the skills they need, we are giving them the power to step outside their current social and economic conditions, a power that's more potent than any welfare program. Education is a tool that transcends economic classes. It doesn't discriminate based on your bank account. Instead, it provides an equal chance for everyone to secure better-paying jobs, to uplift themselves from their current socioeconomic standing. To be educated is to be empowered, and to be empowered is to be able to change one's fate. Next, let's not forget about the role of policy changes at the governmental level. Government is not just a system, but a mechanism that can fundamentally transform society. It is the governing body that can help address income disparities effectively and efficiently. For example, implementing fair taxation policies can ensure that the rich pay their fair share. It's not about punishing success, but about ensuring that prosperity is not exclusive, but inclusive. When we talk about fair taxation, we are talking about making sure that everyone contributes their part and that those who have more contribute more. It is about creating an environment where everyone is invested in the betterment of society. Lastly, corporations have a role to play too. The corporate world often seems separate from everyday life, but it's deeply intertwined with our socio-economic fabric. By adopting fair employment practices and paying a living wage, corporations can help narrow the wealth gap. It's about more than profits, it's about social responsibility. Corporate accountability is not just a buzzword, it's a necessity in today's world. By being fair, corporations can prove that capitalism is not about exploitation, but about shared success. And corporations have a role to play too. By adopting fair employment practices and paying a living wage, they can help narrow the wealth gap. In conclusion, the wealth gap is a complex issue with many contributing factors. This imbalance among individuals and households didn't materialize in a jiffy. It's the outcome of numerous socioeconomic and political elements evolving over lengthy periods. Elements like systemic discrimination, educational disparity, and economic policy all contribute significantly to this gap. Systemic discrimination is pervasive in societies worldwide, where biases based on race, ethnicity, and gender limit opportunities for specific groups. This lack of access often translates into lower wages and reduced wealth accumulation. Similarly, disparities in education, particularly in quality and access, also fuel the wealth gap. Economic policies, regulatory and fiscal decisions by governments play a crucial role too. Policies favoring the affluent, like tax cuts, worsen income inequality by enhancing wealth concentration at the top. Conversely, policies investing in public goods and services can help distribute wealth more evenly. Resolving the wealth gap involves understanding these factors and finding potential solutions. It isn't just a challenge for policymakers and corporations, it's a societal. We need to grasp that shared wealth benefits everyone, fostering a shift in understanding of wealth from a zero-sum game to shared prosperity. As citizens, we need to understand this issue, advocate for fair policies, and support organizations pushing for economic justice. A collective approach is the only way to bridge this divide. This isn't just a challenge for policymakers and corporations, though. It's a challenge for all of us. Because in the end, a society where wealth is shared more equally is a society where everyone can thrive. Don't forget to like, follow, and share our content. Your support helps us continue our work.